January 2018, I'm 21 years old, and it's kind of like 28. That's the goal. 7 years. Cool. 2024. That's when I want financial freedom. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to get it. Obviously, at 25, I didn't know I was going to get it early. But that's the thing. When you continue to take action, when you continue to every single day, you're moving forward. You're applying things that you're learning every single day. You don't know what's going to happen. Fact. And that's what makes this journey just that much more exciting, because I will tell you this. I did never, at 21, if you told me, yeah, you'd have a business that makes $50,000, $60,000 every single month. When I was 21, I would have said, I mean, I believe it, but I don't know how. Because I just know, okay, yeah, it sounds like something that's right, but I don't know how. So everything that, we've got to at this point has just literally has come up from just taking action on the things that we literally talk about.
You're listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Camuno here, and we are back with episode 134 of the Money Monopolizers podcast. And I'm here with my co-host Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Doing pretty good, man. Long time no see. How you been overall, man?
It's been a minute. It's been a
little minute. I know, bro. We actually got a message from somebody on Instagram saying, hey, man, just checking on y'all, man. I ain't seen y'all in a couple of weeks.
Hey, man. Stuff's been happening.
It's been I would just say it's been very busy, to be honest. It's been very busy. A lot of life events going on, but nothing bad either, though, to be honest. I think it's just a season of life where just a lot of things that were going on in different directions. But I'm glad to say that we're still pushing forward, though, with everything, though. Like, even with the podcast, this actually will represent our official 3-year anniversary of the podcast, too. Like, this episode will. So I'm excited for that. I'm glad that we've been able to stick it out this long, because I know in the very beginning we were just like, man, can we make it past 5 episodes? So it's been a long time coming for sure.
Yeah. And, the last 2 weeks, obviously we hadn't put out an episode, which I absolutely hate doing that. But sometimes, if things just don't align, schedules don't align, it's hard to make it really happen. Especially because y'all got to remember, this is not all we do. Facts. So this is actually probably the thing that is like the least prioritized. To be honest, in terms of hierarchy, just keeping it 100. But because, we have businesses and other things that we are working on as well. Because, we teach financial freedom, but we also, we got financial freedom, but we trying to also level up ourselves. Right. So it sometimes that kind of happens. And it sucks because I think we had went on it was over a year. Continuing.
Yeah. It was I don't know what the streak was, because it wasn't a complete 2021 or 2022 year, but it was definitely 50 plus weeks in a row. It was
like 60, 70.
Yeah, it's probably in the 60s at that point.
Because it was last January 14th was the last. Yep. 2021 was the last time. So we made it all the way to April, May.
Yeah, so we definitely on a good streak. I am sad about that, but I did think about this, understanding that both of us had completely different schedules and completely different lives in completely different cities, but still to be that consistent is just just remarkable in itself. So yeah. I mean, that is just a testament to just showing what it really takes to run a successful podcast. It takes a lot of coordination. So I just for anybody that's looking, I'm just a side note, anybody looking to get into a podcast with somebody else, keep in mind that those are some things that will come up at some points that you have just conflicting schedules. And
we do it in person too, so a lot of people aren't going to be looking to do it in person, so it might be easier. But because we try to hold a certain level of quality for production, at least I know it's very important to me. I do not want to sacrifice production or quality of that, so it's it makes it tougher to be that consistent every week. Y'all gotta think every single week to put out an episode. Facts. It's people don't realize how much actually goes into an episode. If it was just audio, cool, but because there's video component and we try to put content out and stuff on social media, it makes it a lot more there's a lot more, it's a lot more involved. So, but we back, we here, gonna be consistent and continue like we have been. It's just, sometimes things come up. So, but yeah, like you said, 3 years into the podcast, man, and it's been a journey for sure.
Nah, seriously.
Because I feel like, we talked about this on our 100th episode, which is we recorded episode 3-4 times, but the one we put out was in September.
Fact.
The beginning of September or August. I don't think it was September. And, it was just crazy to see 100 episodes, but now it took us, I guess 2.5 years, 2 years, about 2.5 years to get to that point. And now we're 3 years into doing this podcast consistently. And there's a lot of stuff that I know we've learned along the way, just in the sense of not even with the podcast, but just on the financial freedom journey. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we want to get into in this episode today. So I'm excited to get into that. But before we get into that, we will briefly get into our business updates. I know a lot of people been like, dang, what's going on? What the heck is going on? Because, I know
everybody want to be nosy at this point. That's all they ask.
Yeah. And, it's everybody also, they want to start businesses that we're doing too. So they
right. What do I do next?
Yeah, it's like, dang, what are we supposed to do? So I know a lot of people been fiending for that over the last couple weeks. So we're gonna get into that, and then we'll get the show popping. So
it's time. Keep them posted.
Obviously, we've been off the last couple weeks. How have things been for you in the business over the last, I would say, month?
Facts,
just because that was probably the last time we actually recorded.
Dang,
live.
Yeah, I do have. I'm not going to recap everything right now, but I was doing just at least highlight one of the main things that I did do for the past couple of weeks. So I was like talking to different industry relations, like I'm talking to like a tolling service company, and I was also talking to
what business do you have?
Dang, man, I'm rusty, bro. It don't even count. Like I'm always forgetting. Oh man. Well, just to introduce myself, my name is Marlon, and I run a rental car business alongside my dad. Me and him started the business back 2 years ago in 2020. Started with one car. We were running on a platform called Hire Car. Actually started moving off that platform, moved more so towards Turo in 2021. And then during that same year, we scaled to 10 vehicles because we set the goal for that. Able to hit that goal, actually acquired a couple more. But now this year, we're looking to scale to over 100 cars. And so in doing so, we actually started doing like partnerships early on in the year. And one thing that I really wanted to do moving towards like the middle of this year, and like especially as we start moving into future years, is to become it's always been the main goal is to have a sellable model, something that's sellable, replicable, and that's desirable by an end buyer. And I'm gonna get a lot into that part actually within this what happened in the past couple of weeks. But what I ended up doing was going to a conference. It was called the International Car Rental Show. And during that conference, that's actually where all like actual rental car agencies, independent operators go to pretty much like collaborate as far as like how they're doing in their business with the current state of the market, and talk about like different trends that they're seeing and different things that they're moving towards in the industry. And so this is like for the entire next level of players, way past Turo. It's not Turo. It's not Hire Car. This is independent operators who are trying to become the next Enterprise, Hertz, Budget, or Avis, people like that they're trying to get to that level. That's what their goals are. So me being in that room allowed me to be able to see an entirely different way of thinking and operating. And one thing that I noticed while I was there is just that they just move different in regards to like how they operate their fleet, how they acquire their vehicles, how long they keep their vehicles for. And so all of these things I'm able to learn. And I'm reminded about like how I actually got there in the first place, or how I ended up going there. Was like I was telling the story earlier. I was talking to a tolling service, and then I was also talking to it's like trying to become a rental car agency. So I was talking to two different people, and they both had mentioned it, but at the same time, I kind of like brushed it off a little bit, even though I thought it was a great idea to go. But it was like too short notice. Like I talked to the toll service guy on that Wednesday. And then the conference was going to start on the following Sunday. So it's like 3 days in between. And I was like, I don't think I'm really going to go. It's just too short notice. And I talked to my business coach right after, and she just pretty much said I was downright crazy to not go, saying this is just the industry you're in. You're trying to make a sellable business. These are businesses that are becoming sellable. And actually one did get sold, Fox Rent-A-Car. They got sold to Europe Car. while I was there.
Yeah.
And so we actually got to ask questions to them about like what makes a good sellable model. And so I got to answer those questions by being in the room. So
Right.
shout out to the business coach for that too. But it was a great experience overall, just to say the least. I could go on and on, but it was really, really good. I highly recommend it. I'll probably be one of the ambassadors for the entire show and for some of the companies that were there between now and next year.
Yeah, man, that's lit, because I think in whenever you're trying to build a business like that, like a business, not a legitimate, scalable, sellable business, even aside from the fact that, if you want to sell your business, people have to know you.
Yeah.
People have to know of you. People have to know who you are and what business you own and what you do, because that adds value to your business again as well. Because now a lot of the stuff that happens when there's these huge, takeovers or acquisitions of companies, a lot of the times it's because there was some sort of network or connection with that. Like I know a lot of people, I don't know if you know, but if you do or don't, Spirit they partnered with, or they didn't partner with, but they were acquired by Frontier Airlines. Mm-hmm. And those kinds of things is like, they happen because there's people within those companies that are, they're known within the industry.
Right.
And so those kinds of networking events, I feel, will add a lot of value to what anyone is trying to do. Right. And so I think that was a great thing to go to, even if it was something that is last minute. I mean, I'm a big advocate of the philosophy that, you commit first and you figure out the rest later.
No, that was definitely what that was, for sure.
Yeah. And so, you just say, yeah, I know that this is what I need to do. I don't feel comfortable with it. Maybe it's too late notice or something, but I'm going to just commit to it and I'm going to see what comes out of it.
Right.
And I think that's one of the traits that separates a lot of successful people versus unsuccessful people, is that a lot of successful people just say yes to a lot of stuff. The things that, obviously are important, not saying yes to everything, but like just saying yes to stuff, even if they don't quite have it all figured out. It's like, they don't need to know I don't have it figured out yet. I'm going to just say yes and figure out along the way.
Yeah, it's really recognizing when there's an opportunity present and then just capitalizing on it, even though you may not be fully prepared for it. Yeah. You can prepare on the way there rather than waiting to be prepared before you say yes.
Right. So, that's dope. And I think that, I know, just knowing you, I'm sure you were definitely able to make, yourself known with a lot of different individuals and build connections and networks. So people, they're not going to forget you just because I just know that's like one of your traits and one of your qualities that, you make definitely a memorable first impression on people. And that's somewhere you definitely want to have that trait. Yeah. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner at these networking events. So that's dope. And I'm excited to see what comes out of that alone, because I just know you don't even know what's going to come out of it right now, but down the line, one of the people or something that you learn, one of the people, probably some connection that you made is going to pay dividends. Who knows, later, months, years, heck, a decade down the line. And I'm a big believer that we are probably, because I think Mark Golden talked about this on our show too, but you're probably 2 to 3 people away from someone that can significantly change your life. Yeah. Or someone that will at some point significantly change your life. 2 to 3 connections. And it's really just about meeting more people, especially within your specific industry. So whatever business you're in, meeting those individuals, because obviously they figured it out. They were where you were at one point.
Facts.
So it's like, this is what it is. And yeah, that's dope. And I honestly want to see you do something that is more even revolutionary than what those companies have done, in the sense that like a lot of, and this is kind of just like off the side, I'm just thinking of it, but a lot of these companies that go to these like events, they're like all kind of the same business model, right? For the most part, they're established. I know just within any industry, right? Generally these big events, a lot of the people, they're all copying the business models, right? But the people the disruptors, those are the ones that I'm always interested in. Those businesses that kind of disrupt the industry to people to where they kind of go, they veer off the conventional path, and everyone now looks to them as like, oh, that is a new way to do it that I never thought of. And that's, to me, those, I don't know, I just like those stories, because it's like, man, what made you want to do it like this, and how you were able to literally revolutionize the industry. It's like Steph Curry with the 3-pointer. It's like
Fact.
they wasn't shooting threes like that before Steph Curry came to the league. But Steph Curry comes to the league, he revolutionized the 3-pointer. It's like AI revolutionized the crossover. So it's kind of like, I just like seeing people like
Just thinking a little bit differently.
Yeah,
That
just
gets
be
in a different
different.
space. Exactly.
even if you struggle and you're failing, it's just like, just be different. That's why even with my business, I hate when people say that I have a cleaning business. It literally annoys me. That's why like when people say that, I kind of just like brush it off or ignore it, because it's like I don't.
You don't like being the same as everybody
No,
else.
because I don't want to be classified as a Molly Maids or another company or
Right.
just like another company that's doing the same thing, because I'm not doing the same thing. I'm doing something very different. So I don't know. That's just me though. I just like being different.
Because it's funny that you say that, because that's exactly what I was saying while I was there. I said everybody that was there, they actually did a show of hands at one point. They said, how many people have been in the industry for like 10 plus years? A lot of people raised their hand. 15, 20 years, 25 years. People still had their hands raised. Then they said, okay, everybody put your hands down. Put your hands back up if you've ever seen a market that was like this. Nobody put their hands up. And so what they was trying to say was that this is a wide open market, and everything that has been a status quo, the normal way of doing things, is no longer.
I would be interested to see if like if the Toro CEO was there.
I think they probably were there 45 years ago.
Right. But it was when they were new.
Yes.
And it was like they were doing something different when it was new.
And they were going at them because somebody had asked about the peer-to-peer space during this conference. And I forgot, one of the hosts at the other show was like, yeah, I wish you were here like 4 or 5 years ago. That was like a hot topic of conversation back then. Yeah. And I said, this is probably when Turo was around, around this particular conference, and just picking the ears of everybody that's in the room, picking the brains of everybody in the room, trying to figure out what's other people thinking that the industry is going versus what maybe a select few people are doing. Because there was one guy that stuck out to me more than anybody else. Y'all can search him. It's a company called Virtuo, and this company is creating a completely contactless model where it has no brick and mortar, 7,000 cars throughout Europe.
Wow.
And they are doing a pretty much a on-demand service. It feels like Amazon, where somebody requests a car, they get it delivered to them by one of the 170 employees that the company has, and then they once they're done with it, they just say I'm done, and they come pick it up. Yeah. And so that's an entirely new. I love just being in the room for that alone, because now I've got that person's connection, and I can continue to talk to him about like, what is your mentality, like where do you see things going, and I can start creating my own mentality from there.
Right. And those are the stories I love, because even though someone has already done something like that, it's not necessarily even about being first to do it. It's just about being the first person to do it right. Yep. And so, heck, I would steal something like that. I would literally steal an idea like that.
Yeah, you can still. I mean, there's the rest of them are all the same brick and mortar company, just replicating it in their own space. So why can't you do the same thing in your space? I mean, there's nothing that's new under the sun. Like you can follow somebody else's model, tweak it to your own liking or where you see fit, and now it can be your own model from that.
And you might do it differently, which could be the way that revolutionizes the industry.
Just like you were saying, Steph Curry wasn't the first person to shoot a 3-pointer. No, but he was the first person to do it so well, to the fact that he revolutionized the game with threes.
To kids thinking, dang, I could shoot like Steph Curry. Yes. And so to me, that's the value in like networking, especially at events like that, because you get to see, it's cool to see like the big dogs doing it, but I like to see the little guy that's like trying to do it different, because those are the stories that's like, I'm thinking like that long term, because it's not gonna always be like this brick and mortar kind of way. Like we see that's going away. Like we see Hertz almost went freaking bankrupt just last year. If people didn't start buying their stock up, then they would have been gone. But those kinds of things is like I don't know. That's just, I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So no, I was very glad that I went to that event, to say the least. Though.
Yeah, man.
How's your business been?
Hey man, business is business.
Just put that as a slogan. Like put that hashtag business is business.
Business is business, man. Nah, it's been good over the last few weeks. I just when was it? I'm trying to remember a month ago. I don't even remember what I spoke about in the last time we recorded. But it's pretty much like so automated that like I even sometimes, literally forget about certain things that are going on in the business just because like I don't have to deal with anything in there really at this point. And so again, the focus is really just continue to grow. We've kind of hit this wall. We're trying to bust through a 50 to 55,000 every month. So it's like I can almost guarantee 50,000 every single month. And that's like, it gets to a point where it's like, man, you just got to push through that wall. And that wall has been tough to push through. There's a lot of it is me getting a little more uncomfortable with spending a little more money and doing some of our, marketing things like that. But it's like a mental thing where I literally have to because at some point, I don't want to only grow by spending money.
Right.
Like that's not sustainable.
That's really good right there in itself, because sometimes people may see it as it's just like a linear. People see a lot of things as a linear model. Just keep on doing the same thing and you keep on getting better results. Sometimes what got you here won't get you to the next level though.
Right. So my whole thing right now, I think for me it's just about time with a lot of my offline marketing, specifically with SEO.
Yeah.
Because every month we're getting more and more bookings that were not from the phone.
Okay.
And that is the biggest metric I'm watching right now in the business. How many bookings come in without anyone having to call? And so I've created KPIs and systems for tracking all types of metrics like this now. That was probably the biggest thing I worked on over the last month or so. Just to create KPIs is key performance indicators, meaning everything that happens, I want to track it. You want to be able to have data that you can make data-driven decisions. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to stop spending money somewhere, it's because the data is telling me this isn't working.
You're right.
If I'm going to start spending somewhere, it's because the data tells me this is what I need. I'm not just doing things because I feel like spending money. Oh, I want to make more. Let me just spend more. Who says that's efficient?
Right.
Because in certain locations as well, now I have to, because we have multiple locations, I have to analyze the data by locations. I'm analyzing the data by reasons people aren't booking when they're calling now. So there's literally every single week, every single day, it's broken down based on how many calls we've got, how many calls were missed, how many calls were called, how it's funny. I got so detailed with it because if someone misses a call, we have to mark that as a missed call, and then we have to take how long did it take to call them back, and then if we call them back, did they book on the initial call back? If they did, how long did it take to book on that? What was the average time it took to call them back if they booked on the initial callback? What was the average time it took to call them back if we didn't get booked on the callback? And what I saw was that the longer we take to call back, the more likely we don't get that booking. So now I know that the average time to call people back has to be, I stress that it needs to be below 5 minutes.
Man.
Now the average right now is around 10 minutes, but it needs to be below 5 minutes. And that kind of data, you don't know what you need to improve if you don't see that.
Right.
So that was it takes time to kind of think about those things and develop those things. But it's a few hours to kind of to really make something like that. So creating stuff like that, now I'm able to track performance of each of our customer service reps. What percentage of the calls are you picking up? How many percentage of those calls did you book? And so now I can incentivize you now based off of, how many, I can pay you more if you perform better now. And it's not just like a straight, it's almost like commission now.
Right. And it's much more calculated on the paying of more you have actual targets you can start hitting now in order to meet certain quotas. This is where quotas become a thing within different companies. Once you hit a certain amount of sales or reduce time by a certain amount as far as efficiency, all of those little things allow you to be able to justify why you should be paid more from an employee perspective.
Right. And to me, the biggest thing is just being able to make data-driven decisions. I know that every decision is being made. If I decide to spend money here or not spend money here or do this, it's because the numbers tell me that this is what I should do. I'm not just deciding based off of what I feel, because you can't grow just based off of what you feel and I'm just growing off of vibes. You telling me Amazon, Starbucks, Apple, these companies aren't making data-driven decisions? Of course they are. Now, obviously, their data is going to be a lot more in depth because they have, more resources to expel into that. I use what I can. All I need is Google Sheets.
Man, I'm just thinking about. That's what I was thinking about. I would say we got so many Google Sheets opened up now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But until you make your own system, that's kind of, you are making a system within Google Sheets. That is your system that you're creating.
And the good thing is that is something, that's something that wasn't available 15, 20 years ago.
Facts.
So now I'm grateful to have that. Yeah, it's small, but if you know how basic, spreadsheets, and if you don't know, that's not an excuse. You can learn. Like I know basic formulas and stuff in the spreadsheet, but if there's other ones that are more complex to kind of do the data that I need, right. I have to go research and figure out, okay, what formula this. So you're creating your own software, and essentially in a way,
that's exactly what you're doing.
All tech, all software in your business is an extension of you. It is a part of your systems. Mm-hmm. All my entire tech stack, everything we use is an extension of the systems. We cannot, these systems, this tech stack, it allows us to save costs from hiring an employee. I don't need an employee to do this because I have tech that does this, right? So that's the importance of having, these kinds of things in your business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. You need to be tracking all your data. Fact. You need to be tracking anything that is trackable. That's why I needed to get down to literally how long is it taking to call people back? Because that is a trackable metric that translates to more revenue. Anything that can be, you have to track everything, bro. That's just it's that important. And I don't think people. It kind of hit me when I realized, like, okay, when we hit this wall, it was like, man, why can't we bust through this wall? I spent more money, but we still can't bust through this wall. It's obviously not the money I'm spending. It's something that I need to do differently in order to bust through this wall. And so for me, it's telling me, like I said, it's just about kind of time right now with. Now I can see my business model is I want customers to book us 100% online without ever having to talk to anyone or go through anyone. And to me, that is just, it comes through over time with, more visibility on the internet, mm-hmm. specifically Google and in those avenues. So that's just something that, I'm focused on right now.
My big two things from that is because where this all came about from was understanding two things. Number one is understanding what your goal was, like what kind, where you want to be getting your bookings from, understanding where you want your company to go. But number two is hitting that point where your business wasn't just thriving and growing every single month, because that's what people can consider adversity or an obstacle to overcome. And so now with that in mind, now you have to go back and start thinking and reevaluating what's going on in the business and looking at everything overall. This is why it's so good for you to not be the one working within the business, because now you can spend the time really figuring out what pieces are missing for you to like really take that next step and start answering and just pretty much answer that question. What needs to be done differently? Because I could just spend more money, but it's something else missing that hasn't been addressed yet. Because if I addressed something like a small little tweak or something, maybe something's falling through the cracks that I wouldn't notice if everything was just like blossoming and continuously growing. Yeah. Because when money is coming in and flowing in on a consistent basis and coming in more abundantly, everything is good. Like everybody's doing great. Everybody's a superstar. But when things like start hitting the fan, that's when you start really evaluating how can we do things a little bit better and more efficient. Right. And because of that, that's where stuff like this is born. This stuff isn't necessarily born on day one though. Yeah. Like going through those tough times is really what creates new opportunities for like growth in the business. Though. Yeah.
Because you don't know what you don't know until you actually get to experience it, right? I didn't know that I would need to. I mean, this data, cool, it would have helped me in the beginning, but it wasn't necessary, obviously, right? I could grow to $50,000, $60,000 every month without that information. But to get to 100,000, hey, what got you here won't get you there. And that's the fact of the matter with a lot of stuff, just in life in general. You have to be able to understand that, like, yo, I got to adapt along the way. I got to, as the leader of this business, as the CEO, as whatever, I have to be the one to make these decisions, because you're not an employee anymore and there's no one above you making those decisions. And that's the reality of being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. And those are the tasks that I try to focus on. I literally, if it's not a task like that, I don't even worry about it. So my time is spent to that majority of the time. And other times, I just been, using that to develop more of my skills that can make me more money and things like that. So in as far as like investing and stuff goes. So yeah, that's kind of how things have been for me over the last, month or so since we recorded.
No, I love it. And I think just for anybody that's listening, that my two takeaways just for people was, number one, just to understand that you don't have to have everything's set up in the beginning.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you just said, you need to be adapting as your business continues to grow, because you can't operate as you did on day one, on day 301.
Yeah.
Like you should be growing. You should be becoming a person that is capable of running a larger, more successful business. And now you should be able to bring in more income, because now you're setting up the right systems, the right people in place to be able to take on that additional income. And then to just continue to scale the entire operation and even the growth of the business itself. So that's my main thing, is just like being willing to grow, but also understanding that you don't start there. Like that's a process to get into that point.
Yeah. So just understand that. And again, that's the whole point of this podcast. So, but with that being said, speaking of this podcast, like I said, we are 3 years into the podcast, 3 years doing the show, which it's crazy to think about, because I remember we started this. It was May 2nd, 2019 was our first episode. And we've come a long way from that time. It's funny because I was in this apartment when I recorded that episode. Obviously, it was on Skype or whatever. That's how we was recording like the first, I guess 99 episodes. Yep. We did them all on Skype, but it was what I really want to get into in this episode is kind of talking about like just not necessarily even what the podcast has done for us, but just what we've kind of. I mean, we can talk about that too if you want to kind of take it there, but also like what has, what we've learned on this financial freedom journey, right? What has financial freedom actually taught us just in general? And because, I mean, we started this, from the beginning, the goal of the podcast was always to show y'all our journey as we get to as we achieve financial freedom, which is why our podcast was so unique, is because it was literally like, we're not even we teaching y'all as we learn.
Facts.
That's what it's every episode literally is. We teach you as we learn. We're not telling you anything that we're not doing. Like literally everything. Well, it's probably been a couple times I've done that, but for the most part, I would say 98% of the time, I'm saying things. We're saying things that this is what we're learning along the way of the journey, and I don't know. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into with that. What are your thoughts on that? Just kind of like starting off.
Y'all have seen this entire evolution of like how we come to who we are today. Like even talking about early episodes was just house hacking. Like this, you're still seeing the things that we preached back then are still things that we're living to this day, because that allowed us to be able to achieve what we have achieved today at the same time. Right. So by being a living example, you can't really say that this was anything that was luck. You can't say that anything just came by happenstance. Like we're telling you exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it, in hopes that you will actually start replicating some of these things for yourself. It doesn't have to be the exact same business model that we're doing today, but you can learn like the thought process more so anything else about why we're doing what we're doing. That's really the most important thing to take away, rather than just the what we're doing, because the why we're doing things is really what allows us to achieve the goal that we have, which is financial freedom. In order to achieve financial freedom, we have to do a certain list of steps, and we usually go through those, like whether it was house hacking, whether it was living below your means, whether it was building a business, whether it's investing long term. Like all of those things had a reason behind them of this of that one goal of achieving financial freedom at an early age. And so if that is your goal, this entire show was to show you like how to achieve that particular goal. Yeah. And so when you start with the end in mind, you can backtrack and see that all these episodes that we were putting out was to get to that one goal. And so now that's really the ultimate goal for anybody else, is just to learn to like take these episodes that we've been putting out and not just listen to them and say, bro, that was another good episode, but actually to go implement the things that they learned from that episode as far as their change of mentality from it.
I think that because it's so interesting that I don't know, I think that a lot of people generally, you can be intimidated by the height of the journey or the trek that you're about to take, right? Or the distance that you have to travel, right? Because I remember whenever, I was 21 and we started this journey of financial freedom in January 2018, I was so excited just to get to age 28. And it was like, I couldn't wait to become 28. And I mean, we're going to be 26 in a couple. You'll be 26 next week. Actually,
no, I forgot to say that. So this episode is probably released on my birthday. If it's released on the right day, it's released on my birthday. Right. So that makes what? We started this when I was 21?
Was 21.
So No.
We started the journey.
Yeah, we started the journey at 21. So just think about that. He has set the goal to be financial free at age 28. I said 32. We're sitting here 26, and then understanding that the journey that you have in your brain when you first set that goal may be a lot longer than what it actually takes when you do the right action steps.
And that's what I want to get into, because it's like, yo, January 2018, I'm 21 years old, and it's kind of like 28. That's the goal. 7 years. Cool. 2024. That's when I want financial freedom. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to get it. Obviously at 25, I didn't know I was going to get it early, but that's the thing. When you continue to take action, when you continue to every single day, you're moving forward. You're applying things that you're learning every single day. You don't know what's going to happen.
Fact.
And that's what makes this journey just that much more exciting, because I will tell you this. I did never, at 21, if you told me, yeah, you'd have a business that makes $50,000, $60,000 every single month. When I was 21, I would have said, I believe it, but I don't know how. Because I just know, okay, yeah, it sounds like something that's right, but I don't know how. So everything that, we've got to at this point has just literally has come up from just taking action on the things that we literally talk about. And that's how the financial freedom formula came about. The financial freedom formula that we talk about is not something that we knew from day one. Facts. I didn't know it. You just like, I just need to decrease my housing expense. Yep. Oh, okay, decrease my housing. I know I need to decrease my total expenses. Okay, cool. What's the best way? House hacking. I know that at least. I know I can house hack.
You start where you are.
Yeah, basically. That's one thing I do know. Like you said, start where you are. Right? Cool. Okay. Now, I know I want to buy more properties to increase my income, right? That's my initial thought process. Okay, I need to buy more properties. It got to a point where it was like, okay, maybe it's going to take very long to get it. It's going to take me a long time to actually achieve financial freedom just buying, these properties every year. So, what else could I do? Well, look at all these people that are teaching entrepreneurship. Look at all these people that are teaching business. What if I just pretty much, invest in a bunch of this education, invest in a bunch of these resources from people that are teaching this, and see what I can do. I mean, these people, they can't be any smarter than me. In fact, I think I'm probably smarter than them. And that's just my way of thinking. So if they can do it, I can do it too. So if I just learn from them, if I just take these courses, if I just take, this information, now I know that, okay, that's another way I can replace my 9-to-5 income. And so from that, it becomes something where now my next, objective became to take my income from my job and invest into education. So I invested a lot of money into courses and things like that to learn different industries, different businesses. And from there, you pick one.
Basically.
One of them is going to work. So you pick one, and that's the one that, you kind of go all in on, and you scale that one. Next thing you know, you replace your income. Now what? You're trying to get to level 2 financial. That was level 1 financial freedom. Now you're trying to get to level 2 financial freedom. It's literally that entire formula, which for those people that don't know, the formula is decrease your lifestyle expenses by house hacking. Number 2 is increase your income by focusing on a industry or some sort of business. And then number 3, what was number 3? wait, decrease your expense. I'm rusty. It's been a minute. Decrease your expenses, increase your income, and then no, I'm saying it wrong.
You might go search the financial freedom formula.
Hold on, I feel like a fool.
I thought the financial freedom formula was decrease expenses, invest your money into take your 9-to-5 money, invest in the business, take the business money, invest into real estate.
Yeah, so I think it just depends how you look at it, how you like your perspective looking at it. Because generally, my whole thing is the number one thing is you have to decrease your income.
Correct.
I mean, decrease your expenses.
Decrease. I said correct too. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, do that. Decrease your expenses.
Facts.
And then you have to learn a new skill that's going to allow you to increase your income. Mm-hmm. So you have to invest into education, and you have to invest into these resources that are going to essentially allow you to increase your income, because now you have a new skill. You can't increase your income without any new information, because you're only going to act. Your best thinking has got you to where you are now. So if you have been doing your best thinking this all along, and this is where you are, what makes you think that you'll be able to get to the next level thinking the way you've been thinking? In order for you to get to that next level, where regardless of whatever, this applies to everything in life too. If it's financial freedom, if it's physical, if
any
it's
area.
Yeah, any area, spiritual, emotional, any area you want to improve in, your best thinking has got you where you are. Meaning everything that I know has got me to this point. Because I tried, if you're doing your best, then this is the best that you could do. So now I know that if this is the best I can do and I'm not where I want to be, I need new information. I need something. There's something, obviously, I don't know. There's something I'm doing wrong that I haven't been implementing that I know that I need to implement in order for me to get to that next level. And that's why it's so important to always be seeking out new information, to always be like education and learning new things. That's, people think I'm all about like money and that kind of stuff. That is a byproduct of the I'm a believer that everything in your life is a byproduct of the habits and the things that you implement every single day. Like your bank account is a reflection of, how much new information you're always seeking in terms of improving your income. Your body is a reflection of, what you eat and what you are doing every day physically. Your mind is a reflection. All those things are a reflection of your daily habits. And so for you to improve the outcome, people focus so much on the outcome, but in order for you to improve that outcome, you have to first focus on the habits and those daily things, which is cliche to say. I know y'all hear it all the time, but it's the reality of it. Like, I don't focus on making the money. I focus on learning the skills. I focus on improving my craft. I just want to be great at everything I do. Like, that's just my mentality. And I know that everything else will take care of itself. So, but yeah, that is generally the formula to.
That's the general. that's the general formula. But no, I think what people don't really see is the behind the scenes, though. Like, I know I talked about this like last time we recorded it here, just understanding that what we're doing with the house hacking piece, understand what goes on inside of the house hacks. Like, understand why we appreciate it so much is because this allows us to isolate ourselves, to be able to be one with our thoughts, and to be able to grow as a person, like personal development within those thoughts, and be able to have the high level thinking that's going to get us to the income level that we're looking for. Because I'm looking just in here right now. I'm still looking for this PS4. I ain't seen it yet. If I see it, it's going to be covered in dust anyway.
Yeah.
And all I see is stacks of books. That tells an entire story in itself. And that's what you're going to see at my place too. Like, you're going to see bookshelves. You're not going to see the games right now. You're not going to see, because there was once upon a time where all you would see was games lined up, 2K, Madden, Call of Duty, just lined up one after another. And that's what we're going to be doing. But because we're putting all of our energy and effort into our education, that is why we're going to see like, I forgot the exact quote you said, but what you see on the outside is a reflection of what was going on the inside in the beginning. So we're continuously consuming the right information that's going to allow us to up-level ourselves. And so now it shouldn't even be a surprise when it finally comes to pass, because that's what we've been putting in the time and energy and effort for it. So the things that you're seeing now is a result of what we were doing when everybody else was doing something else.
Yeah. And that's what makes, like, this is the part that you should be like excited for. Like, this, being in the trenches, this is the trenches. This garage is the trenches. Like, people get so caught up in like that end destination, but it's like, yo, this is where all the development happens. Like you said, I don't know, the last 4 years since 2018, I moved in here in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the most growth ever in my life.
Way more than what school would do.
Come on. The previous 20 years.
Facts.
I got more growth in the last 4 years than the previous 20 years. Hands down, guaranteed. A lot of that came because I was able to kind of just be in a place like this, and not necessarily in the place I want to be with all the distractions and all the things that could kind of take me away from my purpose, but in the garage, in a city I don't necessarily really want to be in. Sorry, San Antonio, but I don't really want to be here anymore. And I will be moving. But allowing myself to be here and just focus on the business. Like, when I just think of the day literally where I'm gonna one day come back to this house and just, because I'll own it for the indefinite future, and just be able to come and just think of the memories that I developed over these past 4 years here, and how this is where I literally became a man. Like, literally to the point where it's like I wouldn't say I was a kid before. I was 21 when I got it, but I was still like, I didn't know a lot about, a lot of things. And I was able to just learn so much just from this alone. Like, that one thing was probably, if I had to say it was one thing that led to like this point, that was probably the biggest thing, like the biggest chunk of it. Like, because I'm a believer in the fact that like there's a law of diminishing returns. And in the beginning, most of the changes you make will be monumental changes for your growth. That's right. Weird, yeah. So when you're working out, the most progress you're going to see, like if you're trying to get fit, the most progress you're going to see is going to be in the beginning when you're those first few months in the gym, right? Because that's when like you have the most to lose. At that point. You have a lot to like.
You have a lot that you need to like, a lot of work that needs to be done. So you're going to see a lot of improvement early on.
Yeah, but like now, like just for that, to keep on that same analogy, we've been working out 10 years now, 12 years now. Really 14 years now.
I look the same that I looked like when I first went to college, right? For the most part.
And I know for me, I'm pretty much like, I've been the same for the last probably three years now.
Yeah.
And I'm in great shape. We're both great shape, fit, everything. But it's like, it gets to a point where like, it's just a law of diminishing returns.
Right.
Especially in something specific like that, where genetics and stuff come into play. But with this in business and personal growth and development and financial freedom specifically, the big changes will come in the beginning whenever you just get started on that journey. And so keeping on that, like the house hack was like the biggest thing initially. That led to everything else. That allowed me to, keep my income and have more income to be able to invest into more of my businesses and education and things like that. Like I said, and now the formula is coming back to me now. Now that I'm thinking of it, right? Because I'm thinking of it in this way. So there's obviously the levels to financial freedom, and in order for you to get to level 1, you have to be able to decrease your income. You have to be able to decrease your. I keep saying income. You have to be able to decrease your expenses, and that essentially allows you to achieve level 1 faster. Right. Correct. So now, because of that, I know that once I increase my income, because we know that if I want to quit my job, I need to make, if my job pays me $5,000 a month and my expenses is $5,000 a month, I have to replace $5,000 a month. But if my expenses is only $1,000 a month, I only need to replace $1,000 a month. So I can get to level 1 a lot faster because my expenses was a lot lower. And so that getting to replace my 9-to-5 income and all that came because of that one thing. Yeah. So this level 1 all started with this one thing, and I don't mean to make this all about like house hack or whatever. It's not. That's completely besides the point. It's just about understanding that where you are in your journey, the next big thing is the big thing that you need to do. Like that, whatever that next step is for you, it might be, hey, I need to invest in education. That's where the biggest shift in at least in the immediate future is going to be for you. Right. It's going to be when you make that investment into that mentorship or to that education or to that networking or whatever the case may be, or to buy that property or whatever it is for you, whatever that next thing in your journey. If you haven't got started, that is the big thing that you need to focus on right now for your financial freedom journey.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree 100% with that, just because I'm thinking in regards to, man, when we just starting our journey, that was like, just house hacking was so monumental. That's why we just put so much emphasis on it in the beginning. Like, bro, this is game changing. Like, this is the thing. But once we started like really building up the businesses, that was like the main thing. House hacking was like they had the law of diminishing return. Like it did what it's supposed to do. But we're not going to get 15 of them at the same time. Even though in the beginning we actually said we're going to like do a new house hack every year. But the one matter of fact, I want to hit on this too. I want to hit on two things. Understand that the things that we said in the very beginning were not necessarily the things that we're doing today to full on to the T. Setting the initial goal and having an initial roadmap was important. That way you can get started. But understand the road may change, but the destination stayed the same. Yeah. Like we can take detours, we can discover new routes, better alternatives in order to get to that same destination. That's why we end up getting there faster. It's because we start taking those different destinations and the different routes. Had we just stayed on what we originally knew, we would be operating based on the 21-year-old mindset versus our 25, 26-year-old mindset. And because now we have new information, we can apply something that may work 10 times better or 10 times faster as opposed to our original strategy. And that just ended up being how our journey came about. But just going back to what I was saying earlier, we were focused so heavily on the house hack in the beginning because that was where we were at the time. So really it's just about focusing on where you are in that moment of your journey. So we may focus on decreasing expenses, focus on increasing income was the next thing in order to fully achieve level 1 financial freedom. So we went in chronological order because even before that, even before the house hack, we were focused on education.
Mm-hmm.
And so every stage required us to maximum focus on that one particular area, whether it's education to learn how to decrease expenses. Then we learned about house hacking, decrease expenses. Now you say, how can I increase my income to support my current lifestyle, which is very low? So I just need to figure out, how do I increase my income? Now you start diving deep into education on how to increase income through the different entrepreneurial strategies. Now, once you learn it, now you start implementing it. Now, once you've implemented it, now you can say you have achieved level 1 financial freedom because from just through enough implementation, through enough learning. And then now that's why we talk about systems so much, is because that's the next level. Once you've started the business, once you have income coming in, now you need to figure out, how can you make this scale to where you can achieve level 2? Yeah. And so everything that, like any type of thing that we focus on so heavily is because we're in that particular phase of the journey. And once we're in that phase, you need to see what is the most important thing that we're doing in that phase to make it to get to the next phase, essentially.
And that's why I said in the last episode, I remember saying that, we're not going to always be having these conversations. They will become elementary at some point because we've graduated from them. If you don't graduate with us.
But the episodes are there for that reason. Yeah. And I think that's what makes our show different, is that we're not necessarily saying the same thing on every episode about we're not talking about house hacking anymore. Yeah. You're going to see our journey and we're going to talk about those during that phase of time. Yeah. Once that phase of time is over, we're going to probably talk about the next phase. So you're going to see everything. You're not going to necessarily just see the one, you're not going to just see that one phase and that's it, because our particular show is a journey. Yeah. So you're going to see, as we go through the journey, what phase is the most prevalent thing to talk about during that moment.
And you can always, these episodes is always going to be here. So you can always go back and take the journey with us.
Correct.
Literally, if you wanted, you could start from episode 1 and listen to one a week and go on your own journey and follow along with ours. And you will see how our journey unfolded, literally based on how the conversations changed over time, and especially over the last 2 years or so. So yeah, man, I think that is my biggest takeaway, is just focus on that next most important thing that you need to do right now. Regardless of what that is, maybe you need to improve your credit, maybe you need to learn something new, focus on education, whatever. Focus on that next most important thing and go all in on that. Don't worry so much about that thing that's 5 steps away. Focus on this step. I know everybody trying to play chess, but just focus on checkers right now. So so what we'll do now is go to our this will be our last segment, and we'll just do Ask the Monopolizers, and we'll kind of wrap up the show.
How can I be successful? How can I follow the path that someone else has laid for me to be successful?
Ask the Monopolizers.
I'm kind of not in on socials right now. So how many do we have any recent questions or anything like that? What is a good place to park money if you're saving for a property? Being that saving is for losers. Thanks, guys. I don't remember if we answered. I feel like we did answer that on the show. I think because that was March. That was in March. You tell me we ain't got another recent one since then?
I remember saving this one because we never answered it.
I thought we did.
I don't think we did, to be honest.
Okay, we'll just answer that question. I don't want to wait. So where's the best place to park money while you're saving for a property? I would, honestly, I think people get too caught up in this. I know inflation and all that right now, it's important. If you're talking if it's going to take you 3 years to save money, I would just put it in the stock market. If it's a few month thing, then, savings account is fine. It's not it's not the end of the world if you're going to keep it in there, because you got to think, you don't want to put it in anything too volatile like crypto or anything like that, and then have nothing when it's time to need the property. So I would, if I need the money within the next few months, I would just keep it within, just a normal savings account. But if it's like a couple years, I would put that thing into the S&P 500, QQQ, or, anything like that. Really, any ETF, VO, anything like that. That's where I would put the money. And I think this is something you did too. While you were for your property.
I was going to just say exactly what I did. So I start off with the savings account at first until we had episode 56 with Zay Matlock. And so he had said something that was profound for me. Is like, because I was the conservative investor, somebody who just didn't really want to look at their account, but just wanted to know that it was growing. And so what I always did was every paycheck I would put money into the two stocks. It was VTI, which is the total stock market fund, index fund, or ETF, I mean. And then there is Apple. And so the reason that he picked those two was he pretty much had a philosophy of what, if you choose a company based on if they fell off the face of the earth today, would the world feel the effects of it? And Apple, you're definitely going to feel the effects. If like Alex just picked up his iPhone just now, so you're definitely going to feel the effects if Apple falls off the face of the earth. Same thing with VTI. That's the total stock market. That means every single stock has to start plummeting for that one to go down. So those two are pretty safe bets for me to know that my money's probably going to be going up during that time, and they did significantly. I think I probably made like an extra $1,200 to $1,500 on my money from it sitting in there for that year, as opposed to what I would have made if it was sitting in the savings account. So I thought it was a pretty good investment for me.
How much did you pay on taxes on that?
It's like 20%. It's like a 20% taxes on that, but I still, I made more net than I did if I had leave it in a savings account. Like I'd have made literally 5 to 20 cents in the savings account versus $1,500 minus the 20% tax rate.
Yeah.
So I'd much rather have that.
And obviously right now we're in a super bear market. Just if you're listening to this in May,
in fact,
like it's been a pretty crazy month just in the last month or so in the stock market. But on top of that, Apple is still, it has good relative strength right now. It's still above 150, and that is a great. Apple at 150, shoot. It can't really, if it didn't drop below that, then while everything else is dropping, but Apple's holding strong, then what does that tell you? But this is not investment or financial advice. I'm just speaking as a guy that this is what I would do.
I just told you based on what I did, and what I advise you to do. So
if you get cooked, that's on you. But but like I said, if it's something you're saving for a few years out, then definitely. Or I guess, because how long was it for you? A year?
Yeah, it's about a year. So
so if it's a year or more, then I would definitely do that. But if it's like 4 or 5 months, that's a little risky to me to put your money in, even into any equities, like into the stock market, and then think in 5 months it will be. You don't know, who knows? But a year or something like it's you got a little more time to recover. So that's kind of what I would recommend for that. So yes, is there anything else? I think that was about it.
Nope, unless you want to do the take it or leave it.
Nah, there's no point in doing
All right, there you go.
So we're back. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us 5 stars and left us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also find out more info about us. Also, by the way, shout out to y'all for the 300 reviews. We appreciate that. You can also find out more info about us on IG at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content under there that'll keep you engaged. So be sure to check that out and share that post. But until then, we're out of here.
Just share that one post.
What did I say?
Share that post.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.